Hello, hello. So, I feel called today to share about my journey with my voice. And I feel that my voice, my song, is some of the deepest medicine that I carry, and also has been a place of the greatest challenge, the greatest struggle, the greatest pain. Very Chiron kind of energy. So, yeah, I feel called to share about my journey. And perhaps this will be supportive or have gems for some of you on a journey with your own voice and vocal empowerment, embodiments. Or maybe this is just for me to share my story, to record these pieces, to be more transparent and vulnerable. But whatever the reason is, I feel the call, I'm heeding the call to make this video and to share. And I'll just share a little bit of context for those of you that don't know me. My name is Abigail Hines, and at this current time in my life, song and sound medicine and my voice is a really big part of my life. It's woven into so many things that I do. I do hands-on body work, mostly for women. I will often sing during sessions. In workshops I teach or spaces I hold, I will share song medicine as part of it. Most every day you'll find me singing or humming a little tune. When I'm in group spaces, I'll often share songs. I sing a lot to the earth, to nature, to the trees and the birds and the animals and the waters. So I sing a lot on my own as well, and just with the earth. And I have facilitated entire sound medicine journeys. So I also sing whale songs. I channel the whales through my voice and work a lot with the whales with sound, which I'll speak more about. So I have led and facilitated entire sound medicine journeys with the whales, very oceanic mermaid sound medicine journeys. Though I've only done that a few times. And so all of this it's kind of more casual. Like I've never professionally done any of this really, or I'm not a professional musician or singer. And that's something, yeah, music and song, it's been woven in an integral part of my life, but it hasn't ever been the focus or, the main event or something I'm devoting hours every day to, or again, trying to do professionally. But I do feel the call to be in this medicine more, and I'm about to step into a container that is all about vocal empowerment and deeper healing and embodiments through the voice. So I feel like there's going to be a big shift, and more of a focus on song and sound, even bringing my own songs through and sharing my voice more. But I think that that's also a piece, I am still very much on a journey with my voice and still not at all perfect or fully embodied in the soul power of my being through my voice. But it felt important to make this video, even in this place where there's still a lot of room for growth, where there's still places that are a little bit wobbly or messy, especially kind of on this precipice. Like I feel like I'm about to open a lot with my voice, and so it just felt significant to record this now because I've come really, really, really far with my voice. So that's, yeah, a little context picture of just where I'm at with my song, my sound. And to share where I came from or where I was many years ago. In my early 20s, when I first started to sit in healing circles, be in more conscious group spaces, even started to sit in rituals or ceremonies, I was absolutely terrified to speak in front of people, to speak in front of a group. It was painful. It was painful and terrifying. Like sometimes I would just completely dissociate and I didn't even really know what I was saying, or I was just kind of babbling on. Or I would just go into this really intense spiral where it just was like nothing I could say was right. Nothing was good enough. Like nothing was going to land. I felt so insecure about myself, so insecure about even what I was thinking, what I had to say, my expression. So, yeah, it was very painful to be in that. I would just kind of be in it and didn't really know how to get out of it or even how to be vulnerable that I was struggling so much. And there was just this really strong theme of like trying to get it right. Just so much, pressure and this like, I'm just gonna fuck up. I'm just not gonna be able to do this. So I was very, very, very shut down in my voice and my expression. And yeah, in the first layers of working through this, I feel, there was a part of my little one, my inner child, and my child in this life that did not receive full attunement from my caregivers, from the people around me. And this is like, my parents are very loving. They had a lot of love and care to give to me. But there was just a lack, with even my teachers and the communities I was around, the other kids, there's a lack of true soul level recognition, soul level attunement to my gifts, my uniqueness, like what I'm here to bring. And very much, the world that I grew up in as a little one, going to public school, in these institutions in this town in New Jersey. It was pretty normative and held these structures and ideals of, this is how things are done. This is what you learn. This is what intelligence looks like. And I was, a highly sensitive little mystical being. And yeah, there was not really space for that or encouragement of my true self. And yeah, when I was the first like 8 or 9 years of my life, I lived in various places in New York. I was born outside of New York City. I lived in this city for a few years and then at different schools. And I lived in a lot of environments that were quite diverse, actually. Where often I was the minority, being white. And yeah, I remember feeling a lot of freedom and empowerment in those younger years and in the communities I was in. Then, when I was about, yeah, I think 8 or 9, we moved to New Jersey and moved to a town and place that was very much more in conformity, much more in this kind of cookie cutter ideal of life, of what it looks like to be a successful human. And yeah, when I came to this school, it was, um, I had a lot of trouble making friends. Like most people had been friends since they were babies, and I was definitely a weirdo for a while. When I was in middle school, I was just like a freak weirdo. I had my one friend, and we were weirdos together. Um, and then at some point, yeah, I would just have my, one friend and be kind of on the outskirts of things. Then at some point, things would happen with my friends. One of my friends moved away. Eventually, when I was about seventh grade, I started to conform. So I started to like freeze away parts of myself, literally freeze and just kind of dim, put to sleep parts of my uniqueness, my strangeness, my sensitivities to fit in, to get by, to make myself a little more invisible. And with that, and even I think when I was younger than that, um, I was very much in this energy of looking around me and to figure out like how to be, you know, like okay, this everyone's doing this thing like that. I guess I'll kind of copy and do it like that, and that's how you do, that's how you be, you know. So I feel like I entered this place and this phase that lasted a long time where I was hiding my authentic self. I had even actually buried my authentic self and would just, wear these masks and these, kind of performative layers of kind of acting in the world, in my school, in society. And at some point, I mean, I wasn't even really in touch with my authentic self anymore, with my soul self. Um, and to add to that, I was also a priest's daughter. So my dad was a priest, and we lived in this tiny little town where people were kind of mean, and people would gossip like crazy. Everyone knew everything about people's lives. So I was under a lot of scrutiny from the whole town, being the priest's daughter, and my mom also kind of feeding into that of like wanting to make sure we appear a certain way and act a certain way and all of that kind of stuff. So there was a lot of pressure and a lot of conformity and a lot of hiding. And yeah, all of this, I'm sharing all of this because it was a very significant layer in when I first started singing, when I first started coming into my voice and trying to find myself. This was a huge piece that came up for me, that would come up for me. This this wanting to do it right, this wanting to get it right, this wanting to like perform it the right way and do it the right way. But it was never something I could achieve, even with this trying to perform, trying to do it right, trying to be like, I think this is the way I do it. I think this is how I'm supposed to sound. This is like trying to achieve this thing that just wasn't even achievable because it wasn't real. It was a standard kind of outside of myself. So this was a huge, huge piece for me in singing and opening my voice, was starting to, rather than it be about how I sounded or how I appeared or how I came across, it being about how it felt inside of me and what was coming out of me, which is, I mean, in a sense, the embodiment of something rather than the ideal or idea of something. Take a sip of my tea. Mm. Yeah, and this I think can be really big too in the realms of song, sharing song and sharing music. Um, is for it to really be about how it feels and the energetic transmission of what is coming through from inside, from the true self, versus how it sounds. So not singing to hit the notes perfectly and sound perfect in this way, but singing the song, sharing the sound as a energetic transmission. And again, that requires embodiment and connection to what is inside. So, yeah, within all of this, there's so many pieces that I will get to, but what's coming through to share right now after all of that is that connection to my womb embodiment was a huge piece in my vocal empowerment and in opening my voice, in sharing my sound. Healing my womb, connecting to my womb, because connecting to the womb, it's dropping into the body. It's like dropping into the root, dropping in more deeply rather than being in the head, in the forward, in the out there, in other people's ideas. It's coming back in and being in the womb, dropped in. And then, and I'm not always singing or speaking from my womb, but there is that creates a deeper rootedness and groundedness and truth that's able to come through. So that womb rooting is a huge, huge piece of this. And within that, also, I think my journey with celibacy and my journey with womb clearings has been a huge part of opening my voice to my true soul expression. Um, because, yeah, when I started my womb healing journey, one of the first things that I started clearing out was previous relationships, previous experiences that were not honoring of my energy, of my life force. And specifically, I was in a relationship in college, almost 2 year relationship. And it was very emotionally and psychologically abusive. So my boyfriend would yell at me sometimes. He would just literally yell and scream and rage at me when I, did something wrong or when something was my fault. He was upset. And that's because that's what his father would do to him. He would just fucking yell at him. And then there were also all of these ways that he would demean me. And, we were in college at university, and he was really intelligent and in political sciences and in, all about what's happening in the world. And I wasn't interested in that at all. I wasn't into that at all. Um, and yeah, my intelligence, my brilliance is in very different ways. Um, my interests are in very different ways. I probably at the time was not also very connected to my authentic soul expressions and brilliance, but he really would make me feel stupid for not being aware of the political dynamics of the world and not being aware of certain things. And yeah, he literally made me feel stupid, and like what I had to say was dumb and was not valuable, was not important. And when I came out of that relationship, my self-esteem was at an all-time low. It was very, very low. My psyche and how I felt about myself was just torn apart. It was totally torn apart. And that's where too part of that energy that I shared in the beginning, where it was like I doubted everything that I had to say. I couldn't even raise my hand in class to share something because I thought that it just would be stupid, that it wasn't intelligent enough, it wasn't articulate enough. And it took me years to work through some of that. But also, something that happened is after that experience, when I was in this place of such low self esteem, I ended up sleeping with multiple people. In a period of about a year, I had multiple, one night stand experiences where I had sex with people one time and never again. And there wasn't, a deeper connection or commitment or love. And all of that came from, again, this place of such low self-worth within me, not being in touch with the reverence for my womb, for my body, for my essence, and just kind of freely, recklessly sharing that, giving that away to people who didn't even necessarily care about me or love me. Yeah. And I mean, it's kind of wild how much that's like a cultural norm, that was kind of the norm when I was in college that people would just have sex with each other. um, yeah, but that really affected my energetic field. Um, and then the years after that, there was so many layers of womb clearing that I needed to do, of cord removals, of layers in my energy body where other people's energy had gotten in, had infiltrated, were affecting me on various levels. Um, there's so much there, and there's so much that I learned about, what sex really is and the energetics of that as well. Um, but that was also a key piece. The womb clearing, the womb sovereignty, reclaiming my womb space, my space of creation as my own, as sacred, where my true essence, my true being was inhabiting that place, not other energies. And being really clear and really discerning about how I'm sharing that energy. And yeah, I went through a lot of womb clearings, and I went through multiple um, celibacies, long term celibacies that really helped me rewire, helped me, clear out and come into the true resonance with my soul and myself. So then, what is coming out from the portal of my voice and the portal of my being, is actually me. It's actually my energy and my essence, and not something else or somebody else. Or, I think I also picked up a lot of that, the self critical voices, the self doubt, the demeaning, those critical voices from partners or sexual experiences that they had gotten into my field through those means, and were affecting me, affecting me to feel so insecure and critical of myself. Mm. So I'll share as well another piece that was so huge that helped me tremendously in this journey was clearing other people's energy from my field, clearing other people's projections and ideas of me, their eyes, the hojas. So I've experienced this in multiple different ways, but it really came through on a whole other level when I studied a particular tradition of spiritual bathing, spirit baths. And this is a Mayan lineage from Don Eligio Panti. He's the one who trained Rosita Arvigo in the womb massage, and in this kind of Mayan spiritual healing. He's from Belize. And it's basically a practice of praying with water, the waters, and plants. So you put the plants and the waters and you infuse it with a very specific prayer, and then you put it on the body, bathe in it, or put it on particular meridian and pulse points. And the water and the plants with the prayers goes into the body and into the field and helps clear out whatever it was directed to. It's a very profound modality that I love dearly. I have experienced amazing things with it and so much support. Um, One of the pieces in particular, in the basic foundation level of this, there are 9 spiritual sicknesses, and a few of those are actually interpersonal. So the first few is pesar, susto, coraje, tristeza, which is grief, fear, deep existential sadness, grief, anger. And those, spiritual sicknesses, it's not that there's anything wrong with grief or with those emotions or energies. It's more when they get stuck in the body and they're just stuck and festering. So you're helping to move them, helping to clear them and bring them to the surface so they can be processed. Then after that, it goes into relational levels of clearing with envidia, mal ojo, and caliente ojo. Mal ojo is evil eye. This is in so many cultures across the planet. This acknowledgement that we can be affected by other people's energy, by other people's eyes on us and directed energy towards us. So envy is one of the most kind of innocent, common levels of this. It's just someone seeing your life and like, oh, I wish I had that, being kind of jealous, like wishing they had something that you had. Ojo caliente, hot eye, is the most kind of unconscious one. It's like someone just directing all this energy towards you, not even realizing, which is kind of what can happen with social media. People just scrolling, all kinds of ideas or projections coming from them that they're not even conscious that is happening. And then evil eye is the most intense of them. It's when someone is directly sending you negative energy. So it still might be conscious or unconscious, but they are thinking about you and wishing you ill or just hating you, thinking bad things about you. And yeah, I've had powerful experiences with all of the spiritual sicknesses, with all of the spirit baths. And those are just some of them that I mentioned. But it was especially effective and profound for me to do spirit baths with these relational ones, with the eyes. Because I realized, as I had said, that is something I had been dealing with my whole life. Growing up, it was such a thing for me, these eyes on me, and these eyes that were judging me and telling me how to be and projecting things onto me, and just surrounded by fucking eyes that were not necessarily loving and encouraging and inspiring. That was kind of the opposite of that. So I was kind of like fox medicine. I was just trying to hide from all the eyes. So when I started clearing those things, the different eyes from my field, it was absolutely profound. Absolutely profound to feel the layers of that in my system that I wasn't even aware of. Like, there's some of them that I had just become so used to, so in a way comfortable with in my field, that I didn't even realize that it was affecting me and that it was other people's energy. It's almost like this like kind of haze or this static in the field. Um, and after doing, many rounds of these baths, I started to have more of a sense for that and have more of a sense of like how the symptoms, so to speak, of how I start to feel if that's happening in my field. Sometimes this can even happen if I share a certain thing on social media. I'll start to feel eyes. um, or yeah, just different ways of being in a lot of other people's energy. Um, again, sometimes it's not like evil or intentional either. It's just part of the collective field. Um, but starting to clear those layers was really, really huge. It felt like it got out these eyes and these, judgments that were just too close and had gotten in. Felt like it helped bring him way far out to the sidelines. And then I just didn't have nearly as much fear and as much of that like encroaching, spiraling, like I'm going to do it wrong kind of energy. Felt much more spaciousness, much more rooted in myself and my ability to just to be myself and be real and be express from what's true from me and not be concerned with how it lands with other people, not be afraid of what someone thinks of it because it's just what's real for me. um yeah. mm. So another piece I want to share about is more with the womb healing and feminine layers of feminine embodiment. It was also really supportive and huge for me when I started being in circles of women and in somatic feminine embodiment journeying spaces with women. Because, I mean, one, it was helping me tune into, again, become more embodied, tune into more of my inner landscape, move from my inner self, from my somatic self, rather than from a programming or trying to be or look a certain way. So that in a somatic level, but also being in a circle of women who were sharing from that place, who were sharing from their womb, or maybe not even speaking in a lot of words, or that, made linear sense, or was this academic, this is how it's supposed to be. There was this more, wild primal force and intuitive flow that was allowed to come through in their expression. And that was truly so opening for me, so expansive for me. It was like this opening of a permission, like, hey, there's this kind of way that you could express. This is a medicine. This is a way to do it. Just, yeah, expanding my perception and my permission of like what is even possible. It's like, oh, could be done that way. Oh, it's wow. stretching that open from that kind of these confined boxes of like, you can do it this way, or like, this is how all those people do it. I guess this is, you know, how it is. Um, yeah. And it was mostly in these feminine embodiment spaces, but also in um, also in some ceremonial spaces with the voice, with particularly really powerful women who were sharing a song and sound medicine with their voice in like powerful, embodied, potent ways. These things really awakened something in me and activated something in me and gave me these, um, layers of permission and opening. Mm. Feels good even if I'm talking about that part, like moving from my womb and my body more. So let me see what else. Mm. Okay. There's a few more pieces to share. As you can see, this is not really a linear share, and it's been quite a multifaceted journey for me. Many, many layers to this. Mm. Yeah, I think I might have deleted a lot of my old videos. I, I'll, I'll see. Maybe I still have some, but I had some older videos of myself recorded, me sharing something on video, and you can really see in my expression and hear in my voice, like I was very, it was not embodied. And there was this like tightness in my jaw and strangeness and like high. And I was just this energy of, almost like trying to convince someone, like being like, trying to be affirmed, trying to be affirmed in what I was saying, but I wasn't even affirming myself. It's almost like I didn't believe it and I just thought someone was going to tell me I'm wrong, and can really see it in, these older videos. I will share one. Oh, that would be so vulnerable. But I will share one if I have one. Yeah, and there's just that energy of the like anxiety and the being more up, up, up and out versus in and dropped in and connected and letting it come from the self. And this is something also when I first started to open my singing voice, when I first started to sing in front of other people, because that was completely shut down. Like I would never sing in front of people. I would, sing in a car by myself, but otherwise it was like, would never sing in front of people. And through being in ceremonial spaces, that started to open. My voice started to open, songs started to come out of me. And that was for a few years, that was kind of like a cauldron space, a container space where I started to explore my voice of singing and learn about singing and sharing song. And I don't sit in medicine containers anymore like that. I'm very sober in my life. I've been sober for many years now, but that was a part of my initial like opening and journey. And there was definitely, a piece of being in those spaces. The energy is really sensitized and things are amplified. It's like you can feel more layers of things. And so for me, sharing song, sharing my voice was always very energetic and very shamanic, multidimensional, um, which was a powerful learning ground. And also, again, very painful at times. Like I had many a times in my journey where I would share a song in front of people and just not do it well. Where I, was totally off tune or was just feeling really insecure, and you could just hear that all in my voice. Um, yeah, just so many experiences and levels like that where it was actually a very painful process to share my voice and to come into that and to learn, in that way. Um, but that, I am really grateful that from the beginning, song was more energetic for me and was more about the transmission of the medicine and transmission of the song, even when I completely failed to transmit the medicine, or even when it was, what I thought was bad medicine. Um, it was still in that learning, that initiatory journey. And I would experience that and still do, with trying to learn songs, to learn other people's songs. I would not be able to learn it unless I was really in the medicine of it. So, when a song, it's just the song for you at that moment in your life, it just really does it for you. It's like the medicine you need, the exact medicine. That kind of energy is when I would be able to learn a song, when it was just the medicine for me and just what I needed. And through the process of learning the song and downloading it and eventually kind of making it my own, it's like I would digest the medicine. I would process and embody that medicine. And then in sharing it with other people, it was sharing from that place of the transmission of the medicine of it. Again, not this like singing it to sound the perfect way or to sing it just like the person who wrote it, but to sing it as a transmission. And yeah, that's still how it is for me a lot of times. Even a lot of songs that I carry and that I am drawn to are medicine songs in a way of they have, they evoke emotion or inspiration or help process things or have that just soulful energy or, move energy. Yeah, and I think that's again been part of my own pain and challenge in this path with my voice is that there's always been this really this depth to it for me and this multidimensional lens and relationship to it, that it's not just, oh, whatever, I sing a song or I'm going to play this song and the lyrics are kind of weird and I don't really even know what they're talking about, but like, do 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 is just a fun song we can all sing together. Like, no. Like, if I'm sharing something, it's like, gotta be embodied and from my soul. And all the ways that I would, fall short of that or fail in that or, um, yeah, like fall on my face in that has been challenging. Um, and that's something is like, yeah, I'm still tweaking with. Um, and it's not a perfectionism thing anymore. It truly is like when I share a song from that place of transmission and embodiment, I can feel it. It feels so good. And when I don't, when it's not quite there, eh, it it doesn't feel as good. It's like, okay, that, it's just like, it's not as satisfying. It's not like the full or the, true medicine of it. But that's okay. um, I've also really come to learn how there's so much going on, in, for example, sharing a song in a group of people. There's my own energy in my field, and there's also the energy of the group and of everyone there. And how a song is going to come through is connected to all of those things. It's also not necessarily just me, it's everything that's happening. And to also trust that. But within that, something I feel called to go into and to share is my journey with the whales. So the whales, the whales are some of my closest guardians, and I walk with them, I collaborate with them, as I shared, I sing with them. And at some point in my vocal opening journey, they started to come through my voice, started to sing these whale songs, which are very, can be very deep and bellowing and loud and big energy. The whales are big energy. And have that depth to them. And so I went through really deep initiatory journey with the whales and my voice. They helped me take things to the next level, you could say. And there was something I was going to connect in with what I was sharing before that I just want to tune in and see. Yeah, okay, that'll come. So the whales started to come through. That opened a whole next level of my journey with my voice, because they really pushed my edges and asked me to go to a whole nother level of being willing to share the depths of what's inside of me, you could say. Again, their transmission is loud and deep and strong and bellowing. And when it first started coming through, I was like, taken aback. I stopped it early and was like, oh my gosh. But people were having these powerful experiences. People were crying and were having things clear from them, were having their menstrual cramps go away, and everybody was reflecting to me like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. This is powerful. This is, can you bring them through again? And I went on this journey with them for a few years where I was kind of like this bardic whale. I was living nomadically and would be in a lot of different spaces, a lot of different community spaces and group circles and healing spaces, and just with a lot of different groups of people. And I would, whenever I felt, whenever I felt the energy and felt the yes, or felt the whales want to come through, I would say yes. And I would just bring them through and share their songs and share their medicine, and was learning about more deeply about the medicine of sound and the medicine of the whales. They were teaching me and initiating me through this journey. And it helped me break through a whole other level of being bold with my voice, being willing to take up space with my voice. You know, it was, again, very edgy for me to sing these whale songs and to, you know, be strong and powerful in my voice in spaces. The whales really just had me go into that again and again. And yeah, they also helped me at one point. I remember them, they were like, this isn't about you. Like, this really isn't about you. This is about, I mean, one point, they're like, this is about us. Like, we have things we want to share with these people. But you could just say that about the transmission. Like, this is about the transmission that is coming through from God, from creation, that wants to move through me. So my little ego about not wanting to take up too much space or, you know, move waters can get out of the way so that the medicine can flow through. And yeah, they also really supported me in that deepening in the energetic transmission of sound and of, because it's very much not a, you know, pretty soft feminine water song. It's like these deep moving waters. Sometimes it would evoke grief in people, you know, evoke these emotions and feelings that weren't just pleasant and nice and beautiful, or beautiful in a different way. And so it was also, you know, expanding kind of my range and honoring of a diversity of flavors of expression and how valuable they all are. Yeah, even a deeper layer of like, it's not about sounding good and being pretty and beautiful. It's the transmission and the medicine, which sometimes wants to move energies, sometimes wants to bring tears, sometimes wants to disrupt things to bring more balance. And this also really brought me to a place which I feel like I've been in and integrating the past few years. And that is really coming into a deeper responsibility within my sharing of my voice and sharing of song, sharing of sound. Because specifically with the whales, it being such big energy, you know, it would undeniably affect people. It was like they literally would move the waters in people. So it really came into contact in the deeper way of how I was affecting people with my voice, with opening that portal, how it was literally moving the waters and moving the field. I was already aware of that on some level, but it was just a deeper embodiment and acknowledgement of that. And some part of that kind of freaked me out at times. But there's still layers of that I'm working through. I feel like I became comfortable within the realm of the whales, trusting the whale frequencies and trusting that medicine to come through. But there's other frequencies, other expressions of my soul that I still feel fear around being too much or too intense. But a key piece was also coming into acknowledgement of the responsibility of that, that my vessel, my body is my instrument when I'm singing, when I'm sharing these transmissions through my voice. And there's, a responsibility that actually feels really healthy to be a clear vessel, right? That my waters and my channels and my vessel is attuned and clear and connected to God, connected to my own soul, really fully inhabiting my vessel to bring through transmissions and sound and song in these ways where it is moving things and affecting people so deeply. And this started with the whales. This started with the whales because, again, I had gone through this period where I was traveling in many different spaces and would bring them through in other people's containers. So, it would be somebody else's ceremony or group retreat or healing space or this or that. And then, I would come in with the whale transmission for a few minutes, maybe 20 minutes of space at the most. And the whales started to communicate with me that wasn't really working anymore. And I could feel this like expansion wanting to happen where they really wanted their own space and they wanted me to create containers and ceremonies and spaces that were whale spaces, that were water blessing spaces, that were containers and spaces specifically holding and anchoring the whale frequency, the whale womb space. That's what I call it. And so that people could commune with the whales, with that frequency, and people and the whales could work with them in those spaces and help them with their voice. And I started to feel that, and I didn't feel ready for that. That was asking of me a higher level of capacity of my being. Wasn't just showing up for this little transmission. It was like holding an entire field and frequency and container of the whale space. And so I basically was on a journey in my life and have been on a journey of kind of getting my shit together is one way you could put it. Like tying up loose ends, cleaning things up, but really also, anchoring, also all to be able to anchor my field more deeply, to have a greater capacity to hold and transmit this medicine, to create healing spaces. And a huge piece for me has been finding my homelands in Scotland, these lands of Alba, which I am now. That's where I am now. Yeah, it was a little over 2 years ago now. I came on a pilgrimage to these lands and I felt a full body knowing that this is my home and that this is where I'm meant to be. This is where my prayers want to root. And it was very profound for me because I had spent about 10 years as a mostly nomadic, kind of traveling, semi homeless person. Um, like I had just moved so much, spent so much time um, in various houses and different locations, all with, wanting in my heart to find home, but nowhere quite landing. Nowhere was quite where my roots could set in. So found my home in Scotland and went on a journey to say goodbye to my life on the west coast of the US and to move here. I've still been in a transition moving here, still, back and forth and going to the US and even I just moved into this new home that I'm in now. And it was after 6 months of living out of my bags and going in between multiple different spaces. So that was like a huge long term pattern for me of this nomadic, homeless, bardic lifestyle um, that was being asked to shift. It was like a soul level ask for me to root more, to find my anchor, to be able to essentially widen my field and my capacity to bring through this next level of whale medicine, of sound medicine, of transmissions. And yeah, it feels like this anchoring, this rooting, it feels like a whole new, not just a new chapter in my life, but like a new era, a new book in this series um, that is opening. And it's this commitment to home and to have my roots and my space and that deeper level of safety. So I feel very much in that opening and that rooting and that alchemical journey to prepare to bring through more of the whale transmissions of the whale space. But yeah, it's definitely it's been, I feel like I've been on that journey the past 2.5 or so years of coming into deeper integrity in my life, in how I tend to my temple space of my body, of my vessel, in my waters, in just many levels of my field where I feel in energetic integrity to share my voice in these levels, to share my voice in ways that is, um, in healing context, in transformational context, to really be in integrity with myself, with my vessel, with God. Whew. Mm. Mm. Wow. All right. Thank you so much for listening. If you've been here this whole time, this is by far the longest video I've ever made. It just feels like a tea time chat transmission that's flowing through. So I'm really grateful for the medicine of this. Um, one more piece I feel called to share. This might be the last one. Um, is drum, drum medicine, medicine of the drum. This was a huge piece for me in opening my voice. When I first started singing, when I first started coming to my voice, there was a lot of like creaky, weird, insecure, dusty places and sounds. Sometimes when things are so repressed, there's like the channels are congested and blocked up, and there's, weird stuff there. And sometimes you just gotta get it out and let it flow. And the drum really helped me. That was one level it really helped me with. Like I made my own elk drum. I made my first elk drum. And I would take that drum out to a river or to the tree, to somewhere in nature, and I would drum and just like let myself sound and let myself sing. And sometimes it was so ugly and horrific, or like, ugh, just was like vomiting sound. But I needed to get it out and I needed to move. And um, yeah, it's also that I think that the drum, it's connected to that animal medicine, and it's connected to the heart and the womb of the earth. It's very organic. It's like the organic heartbeat rhythm. And that really helps, I feel like really helps anchor in the organic frequencies, right? The soul, the true frequencies, and helps clear out the inorganic, the synthetic, and all the things, right, that are not actually us, that are not actually natural to these vessels. It's really powerful in that capacity, in that medicine. Um, mm, yeah, and also I think just the sound and the drum beat can really make it easier to make sound, right? Rather than just me by myself in the silence, it's like this sound that I can kind of makes it easier, I think, for the voice to come out, for the voice to express, for the voice to experiment and find its way. Um, and also then, the first songs, some of the first songs that I learned to sing with the drum, and there's a deep empowerment and earthiness and, again, like grounded energy that brought in, and that brought to my voice and my sound, that was really nourishing. um yeah, and just opened a lot for me. I also feel, um especially in the beginning, and still in the beginning of my journey of song, and still now, I love singing to nature, singing out in nature, singing to the earth, to the waters, to the trees. I feel like the animals love it. The trees love it. It's, I feel in a lot of places that the environment misses that. It misses humans singing, and drumming. And so that's also just really powerful and supportive, way to share and transmit song. And also, especially in the beginning of your journey, um, you can sing to the creatures and the organic nature versus having to sing to humans, which might be easier. Mm. Wow. Yeah, something else that's coming through with the whales as well is they really help also with a soul level remembering and soul level transmission. Um, yeah, there's a lot about their medicine that just it's like helps us remember that deeper level of our being, that ancient level of our being, and allowing that to come through and just to be acknowledged and honored. So I think the whales support the voice in that as well. In our voice being the true embodiment of our soul, of our ancient magic and medicine and what we're here to transmit. So I think I will leave it at that. I think that was a lot, and I think that is complete for now. Just, yeah, sharing these the multifaceted realms of my journey, what my journey has looked like coming into deeper connection and embodiment of my voice and my song, and yeah, still feeling this room for growth, and really excited about this next chapter of vocal expansion, of focusing more on song medicine and sound medicine. And I'm excited to share what comes through. And yeah, thank you for being here with me. And I hope that this has served you in some way.